And speaking of the influence of social media, Twitter obviously has become quite a dominant force in many people's lives. And what's interesting is when people mix their tweets that are work-related with their personal tweets, and they'll have one Twitter account and they'll kind of use it for both. And this has led to some interesting questions, and now it has led to a lawsuit. And joining us now to talk about this very interesting specific case is Tanya Forsythe, a partner with InfoLawGroup. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, nice to be here.
And she's live in our LA bureau, by the way. So this story is all about this individual, Noah Kravitz, who started his Twitter account before he got this job with PhoneDog. Then he gets the job with PhoneDog, and he decides, well, you know, my Twitter feed is already pretty popular, pretty edgy. I'm going to benefit my company, PhoneDog, by associating my personal Twitter account with them. And he changed the name to Noah PhoneDog, I believe, or PhoneDog Noah, and started using it, kind of mixing personal and business to the benefit of the company. He ends up with 17,000 followers. He leaves PhoneDog. They say that that 17,000 followers is a customer list. They want money from it. Explain a little bit more for us.
Right. So this is a really interesting case. There really isn't anything out there like it. It's completely unprecedented when we're talking about Twitter. And yes, the question is, who owns that account? Who owns a Twitter account that, in this case, actually a contractor, not even an employee, was using in connection with their job, and where we didn't really have, or there wasn't apparently much in the way of written contracts or policies establishing who owns that account and how it was going to be handled. So we'll wait to see what happens here. The case is underway, and there are several different claims that have been asserted about misappropriation of trade secrets. You know, is a list of Twitter followers, is that trade secret? Really interesting question that's never been answered and is new with this kind of technology, and we're going to have to see how it plays out in the courts. It will definitely set some new precedent if it gets that far, if it's not settled out of court. And in the meantime, employers need to make sure they are papering these arrangements, and that they are putting down in contracts and policies how these individuals are going to use their accounts, for what purpose, and who gets them at the end of a relationship.
Yeah, well, what's really interesting about this case, though, is that a financial value is being assigned to each Twitter follower. PhoneDog, in its lawsuit, explains it is suing for $340,000. Why? Well, the Twitter account garnered about 17,000 followers. According to industry standards, each follower is valued at about $2.50 a month. Incorporating that value, we arrived at $340,000, and that's what they're suing Noah Kravitz for. You've got some of these followers saying, oh, I'm worth $250 a month. Please just credit that to my account.
Right. Well, that's a really interesting argument, and we will definitely see how that works out. Industry standards, I mean, not sure we have industry standards as to how to value a Twitter account, and I suspect we're going to see a battle of the experts on this as to valuation. Consider that some Twitter followers are really probably not even human beings. Many Twitter followers may just be automated bots or automated programs that follow other people when they get followed. So really, is that, is each follower really $250? I mean, is a robot worth that much? Is something automated? So it is a fascinating question, and yes, I think we'll have to see how that plays out.
Jessie Bronstein wrote on her blog about this, saying that what this does is, just brings all these questions out about intellectual property rights. A Twitter account is not a physical entity. It's an idea, an online organism that is intangible yet valuable, a completely individualistic brand. What about that?
Yeah, well, that's an interesting idea. I mean, certainly we have lots of historical precedent involving intellectual property of various kinds and intangible property of various kinds. In this case, what's been alleged is that these are trade secrets, or actually specifically that the followers of the account are like a customer list and therefore trade secrets, the same way that an old-fashioned sort of Rolodex would be. And this argument is made under California law. So that's the sort of interesting intellectual property question. We don't have issues like copyright or trademark being raised in this lawsuit. We have trade secrets. Is the list of followers, is that a trade secret? Is the password to the Twitter account a trade secret? And that's what we're going to see if this continues and isn't settled. That's what we'll see perhaps get resolved.
And one of the things that people are asking as they see this lawsuit is, you know, should a person just have two different Twitter accounts, their personal account and a professional account? And the argument has been made that in some cases, people who try to mix the two damage their company's brand. They tweet irresponsible things, they get in a lot of trouble for it, and companies, some of them say, you know, your Twitter account has been negative branding for our company. We want you to have a completely separate personal account and maybe not even have a professional Twitter account anyway. But on the other hand, you've got this argument where they're saying that his Twitter account helped their brand, benefited their brand, and they want that merging. So what is it? Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
It can be a good thing or a bad thing, and yes, you do see a lot of organizations starting to have, you know, the organizational company Twitter accounts over here, and then, you know, having policies about employee personal Twitter accounts and use of social media. That's what's so important, is to distinguish in policies, to spell out for personnel what is permissible, what is not, what is their own. Do they need to, for example, take the position when they tweet on their personal accounts that they are not speaking on behalf of the company, and that may be the way to handle it. On the other hand, if it's someone that the company does want to be using to try to promote their brand, then we start to get into all kinds of other interesting legal issues like endorsements, and the FTC has very strict endorsement guidelines, and you need to make disclosures about whether you're receiving certain kinds of compensation or value for positive things that you say about a brand. So it gets very complicated, and organizations absolutely need to draw the lines, make clear with their personnel in their contracts, in their policies, what's personal, what's business.
Yeah, and I would say very few companies at this point have specific guidelines like the ones you're talking about.
That's true. Yes.
So it's going to be a long
Absolutely.
road, and we'll see where it leads us. But Tanya Forsythe, founding partner of InfoLawGroup, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right.